Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Winter Meetings. I am your host, Stefan. The other guys will be joining me shortly, but as we get started today, I'm actually excited to announce that we now have a new sponsorship. Winter Meetings is now sponsored by Gunslinger Soaps, handmade soaps and beard products made without all the junk to pamper your skin. You can go to their website, gunslingersoap.com, and sign up to get 15% off your first order and always free shipping over $30. That's gunslingersoap.com. I have been using for years, actually. The reason I chose this company as our first sponsor. I have been using their flagship bar, the Gunslinger, since 2016 was when I used it for the first time. Really good for my skin because I have eczema. It really helps and helps things feel better so that I'm not quite feeling so icky. And I've started using the beard products. The Maverick is actually my favorite beard oil. I think they're out of it right now. I got the last couple of bottles, but we are going to be doing a giveaway on Father's Day in partnership with my other podcast, First Generation Dad. There will be more information about that coming on the podcast page next week. So make sure that you go to the Winter Meetings podcast page at facebook.com/Winter Meetings Podcast to check it out and get more information. And of course, a big shout out again to Gunslinger Soaps. Go to gunslingersoap.com and sign up to receive 15% off your first order and free shipping over $30. So we're going to bring in two of my compadres for this evening. Of course, with me as always, Craig Newton, and then my buddy Dan the Dick Warner, who co-hosts Sports Report After Dark with me. And he is also a co-host on the Sports Report. You can catch those shows Monday night at 11:30 Eastern and 10 Eastern, respectively, going into all things sports related as well. Stefan will be joining us, but he seems to be running a little late tonight, so no worries there. But let's dive in tonight, guys. So we have got some interesting things to talk about. The first thing, Phillies went through a leadership change this week. Phillies fired their manager on, I believe it was Thursday, and have appointed one of their assistant coaches as the interim manager in the detriment. And interestingly enough, they have not lost since that change in leadership. So Joe Girardi is out after just over 3 years in Philly. He did finish his tenure there with a losing record. Dan, since you are our guest and you haven't really been on here before, I'll go ahead and kick this to you first. Do you think that Girardi is used as a scapegoat to try and move things along, or do you think he was actually the problem?
First of all, Tony, it's great to be on an actual podcast for once. The Sports Report is an absolute joke. I'm just kidding. No, one of the Yankee Brotherhood going down in Philly. One of the Yankee Brotherhood going down in Philly. It's all right. Honestly, I don't think he's a great manager. I don't think he's really a leader. I think he was with those Yankees teams as a player. He was always just kind of a follow with it. More of a glue guy than anything. I don't know if he's and I'm not trying to, talk bad about him. I don't know if he's respected, honestly, by the players. I don't know if they get up to play for Joe Girardi. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and he did get the Yankees to a World Series in 2009. That was the last World Series the Yankees have gotten. And we're going to talk about the Yankees tonight because they have definitely started off a lot stronger this year than everybody expected, including myself. Everybody, literally. Even the Yankees were sitting there going,
yeah.
But no, anyway, and it takes a lot to coach a World Series team. Sure. But obviously since then we haven't really seen results out of Girardi. What do you think, Craig?
He's not being used as a scapegoat. I agree with Dan that he didn't have it with that team. And sometimes you can use the excuse, well, you've got too many prima donnas on the team and there's not a chemistry going, but I don't see that with the Phillies. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't either. Especially today, Phillies beat the Angels. We're going to be talking about the Angels in a minute. That's actually our next topic. But the Phillies beat the Angels. Bryce Harper hit a grand slam to tie up the game. They were down 6-2. He hit a grand slam, tied it up. And then Stott hit a 3-1 walk-off home run to win the game and beat the Angels. And like I said, they have not lost since the change in leadership and Joe Girardi was relieved of his duties. So I guess the next question on Girardi would be: do you think he is a head coach again in Major League Baseball? What do you think, Craig?
Yes.
Any idea where he'll go?
Maybe the Rays. I don't know. I think he'll stay. I think he's going to go back in the American League, though.
Craig, do you think he's that highly sought after still? After, I mean, because it wasn't a disaster in Philly, really. You know, like it wasn't. I don't think it was a disaster. They just have more potential than what he was getting out of them, I think. But at the same time,
that's a fair assessment.
And he's gonna ride that title team. He's gonna ride that 2009 title team to probably another manager job. I agree with you 100%. Where he's gonna go, I don't know about. Tampa seems like they might just be a little bit too put together as an organization for Girardi. Like for Girardi, Girardi needs to go somewhere like there's a little bit of a rickety bridge. He seems like a rickety bridge kind of manager, just like, oh yeah, keep it all together. Like I don't know at this point. So yeah.
What about Oakland? Because obviously with everything going on in Oakland, there's going to be some changes there. And I know that like the fan aggravation in Oakland is not at the coaching, it's at the ownership, because the ownership in Oakland is just Amber hurting it right now, just completely shitting the bed. I'm sorry, that joke was just
count
there.
it. Count it. It was there for the taking. There for the taking.
Oh, Piers, good. Hello, thank you for joining us. But no, like I
only you could get an Amber Heard reference in on a sports podcast.
Listen, here's the deal. My wife's name is Amber. So this trial has been terrifying for me because I'm starting to have some flashbacks here. She hasn't cut off my finger. Like everything is still there, but right. It's one of those things where you just kind of have to be careful. No. Okay. So
tons of comic material. Tons of comic material.
I mean, just, man.
It's just a dream, really.
It really is. Like some of the clips that have come out of that trial, like I haven't had to watch a trial. Like I read articles, but mostly it's just waiting for those videos to come up on Reels where I'm just like,
yeah.
I mean, man,
that's where we're at. That's where we're at, guys. As a society, that's where we're at.
That's where we're at. But okay, so then let's go with some too early predictions here. Do you think the Phillies recover enough to get a wild card slot, Dan?
I mean, you need the mix up sometimes. That's why they haven't lost since, is because they're like, oh, Girardi was the problem, and everybody all gets together and Bryce Harper hits grand slams. That's what you know what I'm saying? Like Bryce Harper's that kind of guy. Like he doesn't need stability. Like Bryce Harper needs it to be a little chaotic so he can go out there and do a hair flip and hit a grand slam. Like that's what Bryce Harper needs. Like he's not stable. You can clearly tell that Bryce Harper's not a stable person. And I'm not saying that I would be a stable person in that situation. Like somebody gives me $350 million, you guys aren't seeing me for 6 months. I will not be around. All right. So the fact that Bryce Harper still shows up to work is amazing. But yeah. Go ahead.
They are, so they're 11 games back in their division. Now, of course, the Mets, who we're also going to be talking about today, are leading that division, and they have a fantastic record, one of the best in baseball right now, 37-19. But the Phillies, they're only 4 games back from 500, 11 games back in their division. I think wild card standings, they're still a few out. According to ESPN, wild card standings, they are about 5 games out of being in wild card contention. So there is definitely some potential there. Craig, what do you think?
I think when it comes to the Mets, well, for the Phillies, it's too early to count them out for a wild card right now. And as far as the Mets, someone in that organization needs to find the crow that keeps pecking on the bullpen. And these injuries are just absolutely brutal. There's a crow out there somewhere pecking on the window of the bullpen.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that because that's
it's terrible.
Craig, do you think any of the? I mean, I know guys get injured, but like this is a recurring thing with them. Like, do you think that's partly culture? Like, do you think that's like kind of an up, like a top of the thing down?
Okay.
Because
so we'll go ahead and guide into the Mets thing because you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
We'll dive into the Mets thing because it's an interesting thing. Obviously, because we have DeGrom gets injured right before the start of the season. Scherzer is working on rehabbing from this oblique strain and gets bit by his dog the other day. It was his non-throwing hand. He had 1 day off, and then he was back to doing long tosses, and working it back up. But the Mets have had this problem where they, there's always something, injuries, bad luck that take them from being a strong team in the first 50% of the season to not even being a wild card team by the end of the year. You had French Lindor the other day shut his right middle finger in a hotel door while he was trying to leave to go to the clubhouse for an away game that they were at. And
he shut in the Lindor.
It was his right middle finger.
Right.
He had to take a day off because of the injuries. And but he is. I read an article that he is back in the lineup. What is going on there, Craig? What do you think?
There's a crow somewhere on that team that keeps pecking at the Mets. I mean, it's just only I can explain that they are just cursed this season. Just cursed.
Like their jerseys touch the floor or something? Like somebody stepping on the logo in the center of the clubhouse? Like what's going on?
I don't know.
It's
crazy.
They're very like Oakland Raiders / like Las Vegas Raiders / like Los Angeles Clippers ish. Like they have talent all the time, and stuff always just seems to happen, or like nobody wants to play. It's like I guess just nobody wants to play because everyone's got money. They're in New York. There's other shit to do. Like for real, like that's what it seems like. Like Francisco Lindor like shutting his finger in the Lindor. Like how you can't get better than that. It can't get any better than that. Like it's just that's why they don't ever. Nobody takes them seriously because this stuff happens. Like this is funny to those guys, and like it's not just funny to us; it's funny to the guys they play against too. It's like if you don't feel talking about this stuff, you're sorely mistaken. Like that's the thing at this point. They're so talented. That roster is low. That roster is not the same player. So like. Okay. Like, so they didn't really lose much in the Senegal. But like it's just so it is weird. It's a conundrum.
Because if you look at the Mets, like I said, they have one of the best records baseball right now at 37 and 19. They're like they're at second. Let's check.
Third best. Like it's so weird. It's just
probably two of the best pitchers in baseball are still for these. And actually, everybody bubble wrap and store them under the clubhouse between games. Like, sorry, bros, you aren't going home to your families. You're staying here where you won't get injured. We're just going to stick you in a corner. And then after the season, you can go home when we have a World Series ring, and everybody will be happy about it.
There was a pitcher on the Giants named Jeremy Affeldt.
Yeah.
He had the most bizarre injuries that you could ever think of this guy had. And so when I think of the Mets now and a player goes down, I go, oh, they just got Affelted. I mean,
yeah. Jeremy Affeldt was a member of the Royals organization early, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
I thought he was.
Yep.
That Royals farm system, the quadruple A. They had the quadruple A, which was their major league team. That was for a long time. Jermaine Dye, all those guys coming out of there.
What's crazy is the Royals always have a decent farm system.
Stacked.
Like if you watch the Omaha Storm Chasers play baseball, it's ridiculous. Like they are a legitimately good team, but for AAA, I'm not saying that they're all
bikes.
Right. But like you get up to the majors, and it falls apart in that organization, and I don't get it. I have a lot of friends that are Royals fans, and I feel bad for them because it's just
no money, man.
I don't get it.
No money.
They don't want to spend any money.
Yeah.
Spend some money and you can keep some of those guys, man. Keep Eric Hosmer. He signed $220 million. that is a flash in the pan for how long he got, dude. He is a low-paid first baseman at this point. And that was they could have just done it.
And what's crazy is nobody wants to trade for Eric Hosmer. But I mean, is his production at that level? Probably not. But is his production better than some of what you're seeing on some of these other teams that could benefit from a guy like Hosmer that has a World Series championship,
exactly,
at least one, and he's very liked in the clubhouse.
Tony, Hosmer, to the point. Go ahead. Hosmer's that guy who like he pulled a Daniel Dick and got his money and just ran. Like he was like, I don't really need to go to training camp anymore. But the thing is, in the postseason though, dude, that guy has experience in the postseason. A lot of it. He's been fantastic in the postseason. Former ALDS MVP, I believe, or AL.
Yeah.
Okay. So the guy has playoff acumen. And if you get that guy in the playoffs, dude, he's gonna hit 285 in the playoffs. There's no like that guy. It has experience. Yeah, he's not showing up every day. He's not playing 162 games all out. He's not going hard. He got paid $220 million, and he was like, man, I just want to go put on my Men's Warehouse suit and get the hell out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like that's he didn't give a shit. Like he just wants to go out to clubs and get some and that's it. That's all he wants to do. And I understand that he's a young guy. But like when he gets in the playoffs, man, that guy's worth something. Absolutely. Like it's that differential, So
do you think it's worth somebody trading for him as like a bench bat or kind of in more of a backup role if they're happy with who they've got up front because of the fact that when it comes to the postseason, you can get runs out of him?
Can he play left field?
Probably. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like I think he probably could. He'd be terrible. Honestly, I think he'd be a below average defender in the outfield, but he's gonna have to switch positions, honestly, because I mean I think everybody like at this point it doesn't need a first baseman. Like who needs a left-handed hitting first baseman who's just not gonna show up 80% of the time? You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, if you're, I think that's a later on in the year kind of move.
Yeah, trade deadline. Deadline move. Yeah.
Just when the Padres get kind of desperate, like ooh, we really don't want to foot that $85 million down the road. Like we'll get rid of him for a couple prospects that we didn't really like before. Like that, I think that's one of those kind of deals. Like that's unfortunate, but I think that he can help somebody, honestly. Like great hitter. Also has a great beard.
Great beard. Great beard.
Always has a very well-styled beard. Like I want to meet whoever does his beard because it's like very it's like a fade and it comes in, it's got the point on it. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What do you think, Craig, about Hosmer?
I think he's still he's a frontline first baseman. I think that that a team that comes down with an injury, he'll just fit right in. A bench, of course, he'd be a absolute a bonus on a bench. I mean,
100%.
Bench, but I mean he's a starter.
Yeah, and that's the thing is he is. And I think because I saw him when I went to opening day with Padres and Diamondbacks, and obviously, and I got seats over on the visitor side. And down in the lower area. And so I had a great view of what he was doing. And he's you can tell, like, if you watch him, he's reading what's going on. He's paying more attention than I think some people give him credit for. And I think it's one of the reasons why he's worth that $220 million. He just needs to be in a better clubhouse.
I think he's worth every dollar of it. And what I'm saying, like, I think he's worth every dollar of it. And the thing is, like, he just doesn't I'm not trying to bag on him by saying that he doesn't play every day. What I'm trying to say is he's so talented that he literally, you know what I'm saying? Like his talent is so much he's in an upper echelon that he can actually do that. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody can just start at first base in Major League Baseball and just kind of just be half-assing it. You know what I'm saying? Like he's kind of just half-assing it and he's so talented that he's overcoming it with that. So like, I'm actually kind of complimenting him by saying that he kind of just isn't engaged most of the time because I get it, man. Like that whole Padres roster is a little aloof. Let's be honest. Fernando Tatis, you watch Fernando Tatis play a game. I don't even know if he knows he has teammates. Honestly, I don't know if it's. I honestly don't know if. I don't know if Fernando Tatis thinks that it's the San Diego Fernando Tatises, but like I think that he thinks what it is because he has no idea that there's even other people there. Like so, I mean, Machado's the same way, dude. Machado's just like dapping it up with all of his South American guys. They all just love him and like he doesn't care. Like I feel like they're just kind of on a whole bunch of different levels, and they paid a bunch of money to a bunch of guys that were kind of a mix and match bunch of talent. But it's just a weird kind of thing.
There's definitely evidence on that lineup and spending a bunch of money, but not worried about, not focusing on cohesiveness. Talent over cohesiveness was, I think, their focus as they built the roster that they have right now. And I think there's definitely some value to these teams that will take somebody that is a slightly less production wise, but a better fit for the clubhouse, because you don't have to worry about them being a liability and bringing down the other guys.
Right. It's like me and you were like GMing MLB The Show. Like that, like that's the Padres organization. Like we're just like, yeah, no, I just think that all these guys are awesome, and like one of them is 6'5", 230. Let's get him at first base. Like they just don't care about what they do well or anything. They're like, yeah, all the power we can get. It's like, guys, it doesn't always work that way. Like ask the Yankees.
Ask last year's Yankees. You can't just
ask the Yankees. It doesn't work like that. Giancarlo is not Giancarlo MLB The Show. He's not. It doesn't work like that.
Oh man, Joey Gallo is not Joey Gallo on MLB The Show.
He's not 15 Texas Rangers Joey Gallo. It's not the same guy. It's not. It's just not. It's just not.
Okay,
Man.
so let's dive into talking about the Angels, because the Angels have a stellar roster that, you're looking at the top and seeing names like Shohei and Mike Trout, but they've now lost their 11 straight, last 11 straight, including their loss today. Trout went into today's game 0 for 23. What can they start to do in LA to flip this around? Craig, I'll let you take this one first.
Man, this is a classic, looks great on paper.
Yep.
Just doesn't translate to the field. I mean, I don't know. It might be time to blow it up. Trade Trout, keep Ohtani, but trade Trout for a ton of draft picks and blow it up. I mean, I don't know.
Ooh, the Pinstripes have tons of draft picks. Really, Craig? We have lots of draft picks in New York. We like Mike Trout. Oh, that'd be great. That'd be amazing. No, I agree. Like, how is that not a thing? I mean, what is it? Jared Walsh? Jared Walsh was an all-star last year. Like they have talent all over the place. When do you point a finger at a manager at that point? When do they got to point a finger at a manager?
And
now.
That's my
now.
And that's kind of my question on it, because when you look at what they've got for
they got two Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers right there.
Yeah, in their prime.
I mean, just in those names, I mean, Shohei's going to be a Hall of Famer, Trout's going to be a Hall of Famer. Yep. Max Stassi is actually a very decent catcher, but then you've got Kurt Suzuki as the backup, who is also really good behind the plate.
Yep.
Kurt Suzuki's an excellent offensive catcher.
Yep.
He is. And
Great
then
hitter.
you also look at, Jared Walsh, like you said, Andrew Velasquez, great shortstop. Matt Duffy is amazing at second base. And then of course you've got Mike Trout, Juan Lagares back, in center field. He's always out of the Dominican Republic. He is really good. But when you look at the stats for the Angels, go ahead.
I gotta say it too. Like I'm a huge Mike Trout fan, bro. Like I love all the sabermetrics and stuff on Trout. Like I think that he's one of the best pure hitters of all time. I think he's one of the 5-tool guys. I think he's one of the best that's ever played the game. I think there's no doubt in that from a numbers standpoint. But then you look at the guy's never won a playoff series. That's an amazing thing. So I'm gonna point a finger at Mike Trout at this point. When do you just he just doesn't seem like he's the leader kind either. He really doesn't. Get mad, Mike Trout.
And I can I think that there's merit to that, but also when you look at the fact that like for their starting lineup today, just as an example, for their starting lineup today, they had one batter that's hitting below 200. You know, you've got and you've really only got one that's even flirting with that line, and that's Tyler Wade. But
before that over,
Matt Duffy's hitting 313. Shohei's still hitting 242, and he's turned into more of a power hitter anyway. So 242 for what Shohei's doing isn't bad. Trout is hitting 274, but when you look at the scenario, it's not translating to wins. I mean, they are one game back from 500, which a lot of that's due to this 11-game skid. Craig, what are you seeing?
Mike, I have a question for you. Who's protecting Trout, or who's doing a terrible job of protecting Trout in the lineup when he comes to bat?
What's up, Josie? Looking at their lineup that they had today, and obviously this big trade.
It's Jarrett Walsh.
Trout's hitting third. Duffy hit leadoff. Shohei hit second. Trout is third, and then Jared Walsh is fourth.
Yeah.
So
Walsh is not having a great year. Walsh is not having a great year. He's not having last year, Jarrett Walsh. And
now he's 258.
Before, he was hitting like 290 something last year because he was like an all-star. And also before that, over 23, Mike Trout was leading the MLB in OPS ho hum every single year. Every single year at some point you're like, he's going to have the greatest season that's ever been, and then he doesn't do it. So like, I'm pointing a finger at Mike Trout right now. Like, I don't know what else to do. Like, what you have all these numbers, bro. Like you are the greatest player of all time. If we're going to look at just numbers, like, so
analytics wise, he's one of the greatest, but
it's Barry Bonds.
Never won a playoff series. Like
Barry Bonds-ish.
I wouldn't go that far.
That's a good term. Yeah, it's very.
But I mean, I can see what you're saying, but like, it's still hard to kind of go.
Barry never won. Yeah. He just kind of was great by himself. It's not fun being great by yourself, honestly.
No.
Like I'm great, Tony, but you guys are great too. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's like it's funner as a team. Honestly, especially in like professional sports.
Yeah,
gotta be. And I mean, he's got his money though too. Got a lot of money.
It might be time to drop Trout down. To someone else who can protect him. I mean, move him down one spot, bat him fourth, and
switch him and Walsh.
Yeah, because I mean, if Walsh, if the kid ahead of him is not doing it, then that you can't have an automatic out with Mike Trout. You just can't. I mean, he's got to drive that ball. He's got to drive the runs in.
Right.
So
and I think that's crucial because, especially with a bat like that, I think placement is going to be key because he's not one of those guys at least anymore, that can hit leadoff because he doesn't have anybody on base to help change the feeling of the setting.
Right.
I don't know if Matt Duffy's clearly fine there because he's hitting 313 right now.
Right.
But if you, I think you're right though. If you switch him to where he's hitting cleanup instead of third,
or you do maybe like a Duffy then Trout, so Trout in the 2, and then you put Walsh and Shohei behind him, so you have like kind of a. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe because he's always been good in the 2. I think they were doing that for
like
the
that
longest
better.
time.
Yeah.
I think that. Yeah, they were doing that for the longest time.
Honestly, if anything, I would still leave Shohei in that. I would still leave Shohei in that top 3 because
even so, just switch Shohei and Trout.
I like switching Shohei and Trout better than putting Trout to 4th, or I'm sorry, putting Shohei to 4th. I don't know, something about that. Just I'm not sure if that would work as well. But I mean, moving him to 2nd and putting Shohei at 3rd, or putting Shohei 3rd in the lineup, I think that could be a good switch.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want about Albert, Brian Griffin's favorite player, Pujols. He was there, and like the last couple of years, whatever, you can say whatever you want about it, but he still had that name. He was still that dude. He was still one of the greatest right-handed hitters to ever live. And people still, if you don't think every pitcher went, oh shit, there's Albert Pujols. For real, like they were just like, oh fuck, he's on the like, even when he wasn't good, they were like, oh shit, there's Albert Pujols. That's protection. That's what Craig's talking about. That's some padding behind it. Like you got to pitch to me now because I got Albert Pujols back there, even if he's not hitting that well. Like it's
and
still
that's why I like Shohei, and that's why I look putting Shohei in third, because
that's the same effect.
It's going to have this. I think it has the same effect because you know that if you know that if Trout gets on base and Shohei gets up, Shohei's all about that power,
right?
And that power is a lot more useful when there's somebody on base to make it more interesting because you kind of have to pitch to him more.
Yep.
And so I like that.
From that mental side too. I mean, Pujols was like 6'4", 250. You know, he's big. Yeah. He ran like a Welshman. You know, he's big old dude. But I mean, I've heard things about Shohei Ohtani, dude. Like the first thing that everybody says about that guy is like he's super nice and he is super big. He's huge. Apparently, he's like the biggest Asian dude anybody's ever seen. Like he's outside of like Yao Ming. He's just huge apparently. So like that's that mental thing, you know. Like you just see him in the batters, you see him behind Trout, you're like, oh shit, I want it. Like and he's got this Babe Ruth acumen going on. Like that's got to be the best protection you can have.
And what's crazy is with Shohei is for an athlete, he's actually pretty average height wise because he's 6'4". Like he's 6'4", 210. Like he's just an average size lean athlete, really.
That's a big baseball player though.
But I mean, yeah, like
it's a small basketball player. He's a shooting guard. He's a shooting guard. but still, that dude is huge. On a baseball field, he's huge. I mean, Aaron Judge is the only power forward left. I mean, you know, I don't know, not a whole lot of power forwards going. Randy Johnson played center. Randy Johnson's that center out there, 6'10".
He doesn't run very well. There's no way in hell Randy Johnson played center.
No, I'm kidding. At the rec league, you know he did. You know Randy's out there with that mustache, bro. He's out there with that mustache just drain. He was just banking free throw line jumpers like it was his job. You know Randy could ball. You know Randy could ball.
They were talking about Randy today on the Red Sox A's game because like they were showing shots like, you know, like in between batters and innings and stuff like that. How the seagulls and the birds were coming in and trying to, you know, like pick stuff off for like scraps and stuff like that.
Oh God.
And they were like, you know, hopefully they don't get into a flight pattern where they come across that because you never know what's going to happen.
When he made that Jackson Pollock painting out of a bird.
That was just poof and feathers.
Oh yeah. It was like
it's
like a gender reveal. It's a white baby. I don't know. No, that's terrible. That's terrible. Like the chances of that, dude. And that was in 99. That was clocked at 99. That thing, it disintegrated. Like it just blew it into pieces. Like it was like, oh, not a bird anymore.
No.
Oh, not a bird.
Not even a bird anymore. Just some feathers. Yeah, just some feathers.
Yeah.
I want that ball. Is that ball still like? I bet that ball's somewhere. It's got to.
He's got to have that ball. He's got to have that ball. There's no way anybody else got that ball but him. With how rare that is.
If he has it. I'd love it if he has it.
He's got to have that ball.
If I had it, I'd give it to him. No, I'd sell it to him. I'm just kidding.
Sell it to. Oh yeah, sell it to him.
You'd sell the feathers off the field too.
Absolutely.
He runs a trading card shop on eBay. He would sell just about any sports memorabilia he can get his hands on.
$199.99 a pop for them feathers.
There's a feather blown up from Randy Johnson.
The bigger ones, people would buy them too.
Yes, they would.
I'd take a picture of the explosion and like have a little arrow that points to the exact arrow, the feather that it is.
This is your feather that you just got. Yeah.
Yep. This is your feather. It's authenticated. It's got a little bit of blood on it. That's how you know it's good. That's how you know it's good.
Send your complaints to Dan, care of.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. You guys had a really professional, good thing going here, and I've just kind of I've just Randy Johnson birded it. I've just just destroyed it. No.
Dan is called the Dick for a reason. You never know what you're gonna get.
It's a real grab bag.
And it's so then my question becomes, as we work our way back on topic, eventually the Angels. So we talked about management. When we start looking at management, when you look at the Angels and their leadership, where did my notes go? What the hell? Just a second.
Are you using the notes app?
Tell you what, we're gonna do a quick ad, and then we're gonna dive back into this while I find my stuff again, because it all just disappeared.
On here running soap ads before we started. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Like what?
That was one of the better reads I've ever done.
When did you, Tony? I started with you. When did you blow up like this? I haven't done anything. I feel like a failure. You're on here running soap ads. I'm still on the sports report.
Hey, man, we're just trying to keep it all clean. Just trying to keep it all clean.
Right, exactly.
Started, man. We're going big picture, man.
I know. I can tell.
Big picture.
What ad are you going to do now? You got FedEx wrapping you now?
I'm really close to getting into that Eat Fresh refresh. I'm going to see if I can replace Gronk, since I can actually read cue cards.
Right. But you didn't go to Arizona State.
Could you imagine if all of this stuff about Gronk being dumb was actually fake? You get around him and he's just this articulate, goodwill hunting kind of guy.
Right, yeah.
Could start talking about the atomic mass of hydrogen, and you're just like, what?
He's like, from Milwaukee, which means it's Algonquin for flat water. And you're like, what the fuck is this? Yes. I wanted to party with this guy. The fuck? Can this guy party or what?
Oh, all right. So we are going to take a quick break. We will be right back here on the Winter Meetings.
No one pulls up like we do. No one does us like we do. Always go hard with this crew. Welcome to the show, let's make moves. Nothing's gonna stop us, it's about to get rough. Turn the whole room up, it's never enough. Let's go, 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 let's go.
Welcome back to the Winter Meetings. It is 7, Craig, and Dan here. Big shout out to our sister pinfall shows. Of course, you can catch Dan and I on the Sports Report Monday nights at 9 or at 10 Eastern. That is hosted by Will and also has Gene. We got both Genes back this week. We got to figure out what we're going to do about that, man. That starts at Gene Simmons and Hockey Gene. He was here before. I don't think you ever saw it with Hockey Gene on. Back when he was with us before, because he left not long after I started with pinfall. But that starts at 10 Eastern. Monday night. And then following the Sports Report, you get Dan and I in the Sports Report After Dark, where we dive into the more human side of sports and talk about that intersection between sports and humanity and how, sports is a microcosm of society. And then that
Very deep.
Very deep, yeah. And
very deep
Sports
stuff.
Report After Dark is at 11:30 Eastern on Monday nights. And then that next commercial is for Double XP Podcast, which runs Wednesday evenings right here on all of the Pinfall channels. And that features Kay and her sister, the Punisher, along with Tyler, as they dive into all things gaming related. That it runs at 8 Eastern on Wednesday nights on the Pinfall channels. And then that last commercial was for Geek Gauntlet, which runs on Saturday nights at 9 Eastern, and that is hosted by Will and features Shaw, and they dive into all things in geek related culture, from animes and Marvel and DC and anything geek related they will touch on at some point. Great show, check it out. And that is available on the William Morgan Media Twitch page on Saturday nights, and then it runs on the Pinfall channels a couple of days later. So let's dive back into talking about the Angels and the coaching, because I was finally able to find my notes. So obviously head coach is Joe Madden, which is a pretty legendary name in baseball. So do you think Madden, the pressure is on Madden, or do you think it's front office?
Front office. Because who are you going to get to replace Madden?
Joe Girardi's looking for a job.
Like I said, who are you going to replace Madden?
What, on your slow pitch softball team? Yeah, I'd take Girardi. I'll take Girardi all day. Madden doesn't look like an athlete anymore. Other than that, I'll go ahead and take Madden all day.
What about looking at lower leadership in that, though, making a change? Because like the Royals had started to make some changes, like they got rid of their hitting coach, and I think a pitching coach change is probably coming soon for that organization. Do you think it's possible the Angels look in that direction, look at some of those lower level guys first, and then just consider moving on from Matt at the end of the year? Dan, what do you think?
Yes.
So weird. It's so weird that we're talking about replacing. Like, what is wrong with the Angels? It's even more perplexing than the Mets. It's so much more perplexing than the Mets.
And that's the thing, is that's the hard part for me is because I know I was excited for this roster at the beginning of the season. I thought they would have a solid chance of being competitive in their division, and they're 8.5 games back.
I'm pointing my crooked finger at Mike Trout, man. I'm doing it.
You think they rise and fall with Trout? You think it's that?
I've exhausted all other options. I've thought about this extensively. I really don't know what he's the common denominator in all of this, is he not? He's the best player on the team.
Would you trade him?
Never.
No? Okay.
I mean, unless it's to the Yankees, then I would trade him. But if I'm any of the Angels management, absolutely not. And I don't know, honestly, if they're not going to eat a bunch of that. That contract basically puts roots for Mike Trout in LA indefinitely, doesn't it? I mean, 13 years, $465 million.
There'd be a team out there that would take a good portion of that though off the Angels' hands for Mike Trout.
Yes, there's several. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think every other team should be willing to at least eat a lot of that if you get Mike Trout, if he's put in a different situation. Either Craig, you get rid of Mike Trout or you clear everybody else. And that includes Shohei Ohtani. I think either you got to haul it from both sides, I think, because obviously something there is not, but you can't get rid of either one of them, can you? I mean, that's the thing. It's so weird.
Well,
so strange.
Your return on investment isn't there.
Right.
It just isn't there. So me personally, from a business side, if things haven't turned around by the time of after the All-Star break, I'm gonna trade him.
I just looked because I thought he had been around a little longer than he has, and he's only 30.
2009. So, this is his rookie year. Yeah.
He's only 30, so I think it's definitely possible. I think it's more possible that they trade Trout than they trade Shohei.
Oh yeah,
I don't think Shohei goes anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
No, Shohei's not going anywhere.
I think so too.
Because I think Shohei is more of your ticket seller at this point than Mike Trout.
I agree.
At least for the Angels for home games.
He is. But it's a close second, though. I think Trout's a close, like globally and within every city in Major League. Like, I honestly, if I had to make a choice, I would want to see Mike Trout, honestly, just because of what Mike Trout has done. Obviously, Shohei is that shiny new toy. He's that brand new thing that is very unique and the only like nothing else
currently in the MLB. So,
he's like nothing else. Nothing else. So yes, I get the draw. I get it. I get that he's making you money, but Mike Trout is making you money through like guys like me. You know what I'm saying? Like the dudes who have been watching for a while and like know what Mike Trout has done in this league. Like the significance of Mike Trout as far as his numbers historically, I don't think that there's any like back. So like I guess the real hardcore baseball fans like ourselves are probably the ones. But that's the thing. Are we the guys who are paying the money? You know what I'm saying? Like, are the Angels getting their money from us, or are they getting it from like younger crowds from Asia, from overseas? Are they getting it? I just don't know where like the fans are coming from, I guess. So,
and Craig, you may be able to elaborate on this a little bit more, but isn't their fan base more fair weather than anything else?
All LA is.
Which one, the Angels or the A's?
The Angels.
Okay, the Angels. I don't think so. No, I mean that's a pretty strong fan base out there. It really is. But if you're not going to win with Trout, and clearly they're not right now. I mean, I think the fans would like to see Trout go somewhere else where he could be successful. Also, I mean, he's given all he can. He's given his all to that team.
He has, yeah.
And he's never complained. He's never said, "Hey, look, go get me someone that can protect me in the lineup." He's always been a team player, and they could get a boatload of draft picks for him.
So
absolutely,
much. And that contract could be taken care of very nicely by the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Red Sox or
somebody would spend the money for Trout, and that's the thing is I think it would be the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox, or a team that is trying to make that push to get in. But I think it would be the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Red Sox would be the biggest pieces that would make that grab. And honestly, I would not be surprised to see, and I was just thinking about this because of the production to backtrack on what we're talking about with Hosmer, because of the production that we're seeing out of Bobby Dahlbeck in Boston. I would not be surprised to see Boston trade for Hosmer right now. By the break.
Interesting.
And that's the thing is because Boston could benefit from another left-hander in the lineup, left-hand hitter in the lineup. And they need production at first base because I love Bobby Dahlbeck. I love him. He's a young kid, and I think he's got a great future. But I think having a veteran ahead of him, sitting him down a little bit more, you can give Hosmer days off. You should be like, look, you're going to play. We've got 85 games, we've got 60 games left. You're going to play 40 of them. But you need to be also with that 40 that you're playing, mentoring Dahlbeck so that those 20 he's out there and using him as a bat off the bench. Because the other thing is you can use Dahlbeck to fill in and give days off for Devers and Story and stuff because he can do work in other spots in the infield. But you put him on the bench, let him focus on getting his hitting back under him.
I like it.
I think that's – I'm not saying it's a solution for Boston. They did just hit the 500 mark, which I think is fantastic with their win today. They swept the Angels – or they swept the A's, and they're getting ready to face the Angels.
That's a plus 500 roster too. That's a well over 500 roster. They're underachieving big time.
They are, and I think a lot of Boston's issue has to do with pitching. And I hate to say that, but Boston's bullpen right now is a fucking problem. Sorry, freaking problem. I'm trying, damn it.
It adds a little bit of an accent, a little bit of a staccato on the bullpen.
That bullpen is not what it should be. And there's been some talk when they can get Sale back, which are probably we're still probably about 3 weeks on that, I would expect. But when you look at getting Sale back, you can move Garrett Whitlock, not just back to the bullpen, but you can put Garrett Whitlock as your closer.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And here's the thing, he's a young arm, so you can kind of give him some longevity in his career. And you've got him to start if you need it. If you have another injury, you need a starter for a bullpen day for some reason, you want to use him, you can. But if you put Garrett Whitlock into that closing stance and don't use Matt Barnes or Sawamura, you have a more reliable closer to keep, just so that it's a lot easier to be able to just say, okay, let's get 8 runs and go. Because then even if with some inconsistencies in the middle of the bullpen, you give up 6. Okay, Garrett Whitlock is not going to give up 2 runs at the bottom of the 9th. It's not going to happen.
I have 2 quick questions. 2 quick questions for you, Tony, as a Red Sox fan. Number one, do you like Hideki Sawamura? Well, there's not Hideki with I freaking don't remember.
I know it starts with an H, but I can't remember.
I thought it was Hideki, but that's Matsui.
No, yeah.
It's Harmer. Yeah. Do you like him? Yes or no?
I'm not sold on him.
Okay.
I think that
it's not a yes or no answer, but yes, I got you.
And that's the thing is I don't. It's not that I don't like him, but I don't hate him. But Sawamura, Barnes, Brazier, and Schneider, I think is his name.
Sounds like a lot of guys that everybody wants to face out of a bullpen. Okay, second question. That's who you want to go after is like Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes is pitching. Everybody's like, can I pinch hit, please?
Yeah.
Can
right
Garrett
now,
Whitlock,
like seriously, it's frustrating.
He's like Meatball City. Like he's like the one that guys hit homers off of on SportsCenter. But can Garrett Whitlock change his starter mentality to be a closer? Because that dude could throw absolute fucking smoke as a closer. That dude, if he just revamped his game and like he just put all of his starting stuff into like 9 pitches, it would be fire. That guy has a electric arm. I don't know if I'm just seeing something that you guys are not, but Garrett Whitlock has he doesn't throw 100, but it's crazy. He's got an electric arm.
I think that from what I've observed about Whitlock, he is definitely a team-oriented guy. And I think, as a young guy, I think that's a very good spot to be. Because it doesn't mean, in putting him as a closer for this season.
Doesn't mean he can't go back to starting.
Doesn't mean that you're not just saving his arm, where next year your rotation is Chris Sale, Garrett Whitlock, Tanner Houck, because he's had more time to get ground in, Rich Hill, and a bullpen day. And you get time to pick up other pitchers. But, and it's Diekman. Diekman was the other bullpen guy that they need to do something with those guys. Sawamura, Diekman, Matt Barnes, and Ryan Brazier. Boston needs to do something with those 4 guys. Figure it out or get rid of them, because they're a liability right now in the bullpen.
100%. But Bobby Dahlbeck and that pitching staff in Boston are going to be really good in 2024. For real.
Bobby Dahlbeck will be better next year than he was.
Bobby Dahlbeck. I think Bobby Dahlbeck's
serviceable, yes.
Right. Like in 2024, that's a great roster, but like it's not 2024, unfortunately. Like I think that obviously Houck is young, Whitlock is young, obviously Bobby Dahlbeck is young. Like that, they kind of rush those guys in because they're obviously top flight blue chip prospects. Those guys have been, obviously around the systems. They're all the top of the range,
and Duran
right?
is, and I think one of the other issues that you have is with Jared Duran, like he hasn't found his consistency yet. And that's why I like the pickup of Hosmer in a trade closer to the deadline, where it's a lot easier to justify the money, because after this season, you have to pay Devers. You have to pay Bogey. They don't have a choice.
Right.
Because if you lose one or both of them, Red Sox fans will come unglued.
Dude, I don't see Xander Bogaerts. I don't see Xander Bogaerts in Boston past that 2024.
I think that's the one they're going to lose because obviously
you should. You picked Devers
with Story. With Story, you've got security to move him over to shortstop and know he's going to perform. Devers is on the same track he's one of 4 hitters since 2000, and I saw this stat in the Red Sox post game today. With the numbers that he's putting up, he is one of 4 hitters in the name with Miggy, Pujols, and I can't remember who the third guy was. But the numbers that he's putting up right now, there's only 3 other guys that have done it since 2000, before the age of 26. You have to keep him. Have to keep Devers. But honestly, if you can get things stacked in a good enough form to keep both Devers and Bogey, if you don't keep one of them, you probably should be trying to throw money at Aaron Judge after the year, because somebody's going to pay that man $300 million.
It's going to be
the Giants are either Aaron Judge or Soto.
One of those two, absolutely.
One of those two, the Giants are going to get.
It's craziness.
The
crazy talk, Craig.
The Giant and what's
say those crazy things. I don't know if I can emotionally handle that.
And when you watch the Giants play, it's clear they're one guy away.
Yeah, they are.
If you give them Soto or Judge, they are a World Series team.
Yeah.
Hey, Craig, can I just say something real quick about 7 right now? About 7. I don't know if you know about this, but this man right here.
Oh my God.
6 months. I'm never going to let him live this down. 6 months ago on a podcast, I have it recorded. I keep it in the archive. He actually said that Aaron Judge might be a bench player. It's basically the overall gist of the story. And I ripped into him for like 35 minutes on air about it.
He did.
Right? Just killed him for it. And he just stuck to his guns that night. And I don't know if you've seen Aaron Judge's numbers lately, but maybe shouldn't be on the bench. He's only hitting 313 with 1100 OPS. 1100 OPS.
He's carrying the Yankees.
He's probably the best right-handed hitter in baseball right now.
Yeah.
In my defense, back then he was hitting like Mike Trout is now. And notice I didn't go to putting him on the bench. I've learned. But at that point last year, Aaron Judge was playing like somebody that maybe you need to sit him down for a minute, let him recalibrate.
In your defense, I obviously doubted Aaron Judge's talent at one point in the last 2 years. Okay. I've obviously doubted that Aaron Judge was a upper echelon elite player in Major League Baseball. We know that Aaron Judge now is an elite MLB talent at this point. Okay. So he solidified himself as that, right? Right. But I'm going to defend you a little bit and say that I also kind of doubted if he's as good as, because he came out and it was like, whoa. 2017 Aaron Judge was like, whoa, what is this? This is a 6'6". Hang on real quick. That dude is that guy, that power forward plays center field now. Like it was crazy. It was just crazy. And like he's hitting, and he gets in the home run derby. He hits a 512 foot with the whatever, just towering bombs. And he's a biracial angel, which is fantastic. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like he is New York, dude. Like he's New York. Like that's Jeter. That's 6'6", 250 Jeter is what that is. Like that's kind of this. He has the same he has the same temperament and stuff too. Like he's very soft spoken, team guy. Like it's crazy. Like they love him in New York, dude. They're gonna keep him in New York. I don't think you don't do anything else but sign Aaron Judge.
Two quick updates really quick. You mentioned power forward. I wanted to look for those of you that may not be watching but are interested.
Golden State was up 10 a second ago.
Golden State is up 20 right now as they end the third. It's 84-64 in Golden State. So it definitely looks like they're going to split that series and the 2 games in Golden State. And I'm not surprised. I expected it to be a 1-1 thing for that.
Go ahead, Craig.
I know it's been a good game because there's a Celtics fan across the way from me that's been letting his Boston vowels fly right and left through an open window. So
yes.
And For Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN right now, in the bottom of the ninth, it is it's the Cubs and the Cardinals, and the game is tied at 3 for Sunday Night Baseball, in case anybody is interested. But yeah, with the Angels, like it's one of those things where there's a lot of potential on that roster. And just like we were talking about the Yankees last year, because the reason we were talking about the Yankees last year, and you saw that surge near the end of the season by the Yankees, but they were underperforming. And when you look at the Angels now last year when the Yankees were underperforming, Cashman was on the hot seat. There was a lot of people that were calling for Cashman's head. And even going into the beginning of this season, there was a lot of people that were saying they don't like him there. And now, of course, we've started to see that maybe some of the issues in New York have to deal with front office more than anything else. Obviously, right now, on the field, they're producing, so it doesn't matter. But the Angels, they're not producing. And so I think front office being under the microscope is a good deal, because Joe Madden, I don't know that you can fire Joe Madden. I'm sure if somebody walked in, I'm sure if Angels leadership walked in to tell Joe Madden he was getting fired, he'd be like, no, go away. I have shit to do.
Right.
Yeah. That's just the kind of guy he is. It's like, can you imagine having to be the guy in Chicago that eventually has to tell Joe Torre he's out of a job?
Yeah. GM Madden. Yeah. Those guys work for him. Let's be honest. Those guys work for Joe Madden at this point. Like, yeah. They sign his paychecks, but he's the guy behind it. He's the wizard. Yep.
It's like trying to tell Bill Belichick what to do. It's just like,
exactly. It's exactly like that. Well,
go away.
Maybe not to that weird puppetry level, but yeah, it's kind of
right. But like, I mean, same pond.
Same concept for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
And then the other thing, as we start to wrap up, one of the other things I want to talk about. So, and I'm going to mess up his name. So the Twins broadcaster, Jim, is it Cat? Craig, how do I say it?
It's Cott.
Okay, Jim Cott. Yeah. Twins legend said during a broadcast they were playing the Yankees, referred to Nestor Cruz, who's one of the hot pitching arms right now.
Cortez.
Cortez. Sorry, Nestor Cortez, one of the hot pitchers right now. The Yankees called him Nestor the Molester
because of the stash. It's hilarious, by the way, but not probably to be said on national broadcast.
Right, and that's one of those jokes that like you're sitting around and joking around with your friends, like, yeah, that's a pedo stash, that's a porn stash, but not something you should say on a baseball broadcast. No. Now, Jim is the ripe young age of 83. Right. And he did issue apology, and Nestor even tweeted the next day that he had called him and apologized. And he didn't think there was any malice. He probably took it the same way we did. Where it's like, it's not a big deal, but at the same time, it's like, bro.
Just don't. But at the same time,
know your audience.
Right. Yeah.
To Jim's credit, though, what he said completely disappeared on the internet within 24 hours because Deshaun Watson's lawyer was on a radio interview and said, it's not technically illegal to get a happy ending with a massage. Yeah. You dumb.
Yeah.
Like Rusty Hardin said this in a radio interview.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to dive into that tomorrow night, Dan, but like,
oh yeah.
Really?
I'm waiting for him to announce he's running for on the Republican ticket as a congressman or senator.
Right, he's just
he's just. You think he's going to try and go the route of Stormy Daniels' lawyer?
Yes.
Rusty Hardin has
he lost
several
a lawsuit where he got sued by Stormy and lost.
Yes. He has several different avenues that he's working right now. Like he's not just in the Deshaun Watson lane. He really is in like the politics lanes and everything. This guy has no idea what he's doing. Like it's fantastic to watch. He's just chicken with his head cut off. Right winger, loving it. You got it. Hey, love the effort, buddy. Keep it up. That's America. Good job, Rusty. You're America.
And
we started with Amber Heard, and she's probably going, phew. Thank God for that. Took me
just taking the pressure off. Taking the pressure off me.
Her butthole tightened, but then it relaxed.
I was gonna say he really shit the bed on that one. Rusty really shit the bed on that one.
That's gonna. We'll add that segment to this one, the Amber Heard moment of the week. Oh
God!
And then just have the intro be a bed with a poop emoji that drops down on it. Amber Heard moment of the week.
Dude, what term? What? I heard what term Johnny used for it. What term did he use for it that was hilarious? He didn't say poop or anything. It was some really weird word that he used. Like he said, what I'm talking about though?
A pile of It was like a pile of defecation on the bed.
But he said he called it like she had fecaled or something like that. Like some really weird word that only Johnny Depp would use. And I was like, oh my God.
By the way, fun fact, if you don't know, Johnny Depp is actually a fantastic guitarist.
Yes.
Absolutely mind-blowing. He's in a band, strangely enough. It's him, Alice Cooper, Joe Perry, and the backup or the one of the backup vocalists and keyboardists is a guy by the name of Buck Johnson that I know Buck personally. I've worked for him before, but he also is the backup vocalist and keyboardist for Aerosmith. But he plays with Vampires.
Go ahead. Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, he plays with Mike James from the My Morning Jacket, who's one of the greatest. Who's
recently with Jeff
Beck. He plays with the My Morning Jacket. Mike James. They do Bob Dylan covers. They do a bunch of Bob Dylan covers. You can watch them on YouTube. Fantastic.
I saw a video. So Buck Johnson, the one I said is my friend of mine. Like, cause like we're like he and I are like actually friends on Facebook. Like, and so he will post videos to just his friends,
right?
Of stuff that's going on backstage when they're doing different shows. And he posted a video where they were sitting backstage getting ready for sound check, and he was kind of just warming up on his guitar. And he was playing different riffs and screwing around. And even Joe was just sitting there looking at him like he's legitimately a talented musician.
He's obviously very dedicated to things that he wants to be good at, Johnny Depp. Yeah. And he envelops himself in those things, aka Captain Jack Sparrow. Right. So you can get a whole thing. And I think that's what he's done with it, is like he actually likes to do it. And when that dude likes to do something, he's going to work it like it's, going out of style. And nobody's ever going to take him seriously as a guitarist. Let's be honest. He's always going to be Johnny Depp. He's always just going to be Johnny Depp, the actor. But like, yeah, he's legitimate, dude. These guys don't play with people that they're just like, ooh, it's Johnny Depp. Like, no, they want their music to sound good. They're not messing around. So like he's legitimate.
You don't get to be on stage on a regular basis with names like Joe Perry.
They don't care about who you are.
And Alice Cooper because you're famous in Hollywood.
They don't care.
No, you have to have talent to be on that stage.
You better be able to play. You better be able to play what we tell you to play or what you wrote correctly.
Exactly. And he has actually written some of the music that they play. Like he's involved in the writing process and everything. It's into it. And I know the dude was not perfect in that. And there was stuff came out that, about stuff that Johnny legitimately done. But I'm happy to see that the truth came out and that he has the opportunity to still have his career. Dude's not perfect either, but clearly it was nowhere near as bad as it was billed. For
all intents and purposes, from what I've heard of people that actually know him and stuff, actually not a bad guy. Apparently he's like a really sweet guy. It's a warning for getting that crazy chick that's really hot.
He's one of those from what I've gleaned, because like I said, Buck's been in a band with him for a few years now. He's like he's a talented guy. He's almost kind of method. He really gets into what he's doing. Kind of like what Dan was saying. Like he puts something into it. He puts it, and it almost becomes a part of him. Like even when you see Johnny now, when you look at him, it's hard to not see some of the mannerisms of Jack Sparrow in what he does, because he did it for so long. It became a part of him.
And Hunter S. Thompson.
And he is a method actor.
There's a lot of Hunter S. Thompson in there.
Yeah.
When he talks like this. That's how Hunter talked. Hunter talked very. It's like very, and it sounds like Hunter S. Thompson. Like he's doing Fear and Loathing and stuff like that. Like it's still in his like personality at this point. Like it's weird that he's just like taking pieces off of different characters, but like that's how into it he is. It just becomes part of his thing. And Tony, I've told you the story. I'm not going to say it on air because it's a very inappropriate story. But I've told you the story about my actor friend who hung out with him or whatever. In the Porsche, remember that? Yes, that story. So like you know what I'm talking about. Like
and one of the things that I think people forget, and as we're starting to wrap this up here, when you meet an athlete, a celebrity of any kind, what you need to understand is the type of person that you will experience with that athlete, celebrity, whoever, is the energy that you bring to the interaction. And I learned this in the music industry. And what I will say is this: when you just walk up like, hey, how you doing? What do you need? Or hey, how are you? How's your day going? Talk to them like a normal person. They don't instinctively bring that mask up of a celebrity that you see where they're trying to, oh yeah, let me sign something to move on. Because that's what it does. It becomes muscle memory then for them because it's so often how they have to do it.
Yep. But
when you just sit there, like I've worked around with, doing over 1,500 live concerts and live shows with different bands. I've worked around some of the biggest names in music across multiple different genres. And I got taught very quickly, just talk to them like a normal person. You're doing your job, they're doing theirs. And just you just work together.
Even if in your mind you're kind of like, holy shit, that's
like, do you know how hard it was to not freak out working with Steve Winwood and Eric Clapton?
Right. Just be like, oh, yeah, like you can do it in your mind, but like don't do it. Don't be an idiot and like just be doing it like in front of them and stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just so weird.
Like, you see him out in public. If you're just like, hey, I appreciate what you do. Can I get a picture real quick? Can you sign this for me real quick? Not trying to bug you. If you're nice about it, most of those guys and most of those guys and gals and whoever, like, you're just like, yeah, hey, have a good day. Thanks for the support. But it becomes a bigger and more tense interaction the more you make. You walk, oh my God, if you're fangirling or fanboying out or whatever, they are going to disconnect. You can see it happen in their eyes. I've watched it happen multiple times with musicians I work with. Somebody walks up and starts it, or somebody from the press, and they start their whole thing, and you just see their eyes change, and you can feel their energy change. And
I mean, Stefan, we can just ask Craig. I mean, he probably
because
I'm
sure,
every day.
Some of the guys that you've interviewed, it was like that.
Well, I'm saying like he probably has people that walk up to him every day and are just like, Craig Newton, holy shit. All right. Like, I just ask him how it is. You know what I'm saying?
That's when I owe them money. Yeah.
Right.
No, but I'll tell you,
what's up with that leather jacket, Craig?
Back when I was covering the Giants, I mean, I made a point every chance I got to shake the hand of Willie McCovey or Willie Mays and ask them, hey, can I, because can I help you? You need some cards or whatever, and stuff, And every time I took a chance to shake their hands and just say, good morning, good evening, whatever, in the press box or on the field, whatever. I had writers come up to me later on and go, God, I wish I'd done that. I really wanted to do that. And I wished I'd done that, but I was too much of my own ego and wasn't. I didn't want to be uncool and stuff. I don't care about being cool. Right. I was showing my respect. I mean, how do you ignore? A couple times I'm on the field. It's just me and Willie Mays. What are you gonna do? Ignore him?
Right.
It's like.
And Craig, they could probably tell that you were coming at them in like a very serious manner, out of respect, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like they could just tell that you weren't like fanboying out and like, oh my God, it's really like they were just like, hey, like, oh yeah, this guy obviously like he's actually trying to like shake my hand. This is an honest thing. Like, and I'm sure that just, they're not going to be weird about that. Like,
no, I always took the opportunity to do that. And they saw me around the clubhouse a lot, and they saw me in the press box, they saw me in the field. So it wasn't like one time encounter. Just they knew that I had, I was legitimately, had a business to be there and all that. And then, it was just out of respect,
right?
To acknowledge them and, and just good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever, and stuff, and then shake their hand and move on, and they never turned me down. Never did they turn me down.
Right. Because they could just tell that you were coming at them like a real person. They could just tell you were coming at them like out of respect.
Yeah.
If you want the human version of them, give them the human version of yourself.
Right.
You don't walk up to a coworker that's really good at their job. Oh my God, I love how good you are at selling McDonald's.
Right.
No. It's just like, hey,
those copies you made the other day, Tony. Those copies you made were flawless. They were flawless of the TPS reports. They were flawless.
Will you sign my TPS
You're
report?
The MVP. You're the MVP of collating. Hey, Tony, by the way, Craig would be the greatest Juicing or Not interview of all time. Juicing or Not. Craig, Juicing or Not. He'd be the greatest Juicing or Not. No, see, hey, Craig doesn't know what we're talking about, does he? Okay.
Let me break this out for a bit. So,
okay,
as we've gone through and we've talked, as we've kind of touched on steroids.
Yes.
Dan was actually one of the ones that kind of brought my opinion around on this. Where we've talked about, if it's regulated use, everybody's actually being safe, because we're at this point, we're pushing human ability. So why not see what else we can do within a safe manner? And he was one of the ones that kind of started to talk to me about that and really see the depth of that issue. And then so we would start talking about different players, and it's just like, are they juicing? Are they not juicing? and so he likes to, he wants to try and do interviews where he's talking to me like, is this guy juicing? Is this, and then find out for real.
People who are like in the locker room and stuff. I do it as a joke. I do it as a joke because I think it'd be hilarious to like ask former players or former journalists, things like that. Like, all right, Barry Bonds, juicing or not? And just like get him to actually answer the questions would be fantastic. I don't know why I think it's so cool. Like, I just want to know who was doing it. Like, I know that Barry was doing it, but like, everybody knows Barry was doing it. His head was round, like it was like the shape of round. Like everybody knew that Barry was doing, but I want to know like the in between guys, like what was a good one? Sean Green, juicing.
I'm gonna save you the question. Even though I'm long since out of baseball and out of writing, I still will take to my grave what I saw in locker rooms,
absolutely,
on clubhouses, to the grave.
That's why it's so funny, is because I don't think anybody would actually tell me. But like, if I could get honest answers about it, I think it would be fantastic.
Oh, but that's the thing is when you get to the point where you earn access to the dressing room, the locker room,
it's code. That's why it's so funny.
You didn't see shit. It doesn't matter what you saw. You didn't see
shit.
Shit.
Stays in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because, and here's the thing: those guys have to have a safe space.
It's their home.
That is their place where they don't have to worry about it. And if you're lucky enough to be allowed in that safe space, if you don't respect it, you're not going to be allowed back in it.
No, you won't.
It doesn't matter what you saw. It doesn't matter whether or not you signed an NDA or not. Yeah. There's an implied non-disclosure agreement in place at that point if you get allowed into that environment.
I've seen writers' credentials pulled in a clubhouse or on the field. I saw it a couple of times. It's humiliating. It's pulled and they're gone.
Plus, you're liable to get your ass kicked.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're like that man to man, you're liable to get your ass kicked. I mean, honestly, like I'd be in them as fighting words, talking about stuff that I'm doing in my private life. Good luck. You know what I'm saying? Especially if I'm one of those guys where my private life is actually important, like or it's well sought after.
It's just like
I worked hard to earn the trust of the players that I had an interaction with, whether it was Steve Garvey or so many players. But I mean, when you earn that trust, it's sacred. You're not going to break it.
And that actually helped you do your job too.
Yeah,
absolutely. That was actually an advantage to you. It wasn't a disadvantage that you weren't like just blurting everybody's stuff out everywhere. It was an advantage to you. Yeah, it was an advantage to you because they trusted you now. So like you actually get the real story at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like you get the real one, and whether or not you want to say anything about it or not is, And that's the thing. But you get that real one.
Because when we think about it, like when we are out working at our regular job, when we're in the break room, you know what people talking about what goes on in the break room? That that Houston Astros, that guy that used to play for the Houston Astros, that outed the Astros with the sign stealing, that started that whole deal. I can't remember who his name is, but nobody wants to play with him anymore. Yeah, the pitcher. Right? Yeah. Nobody wants to play with him anymore.
And Tony, at your job by the water cooler, there isn't people asking you if they can pay you some money to talk about what happened by the water cooler that day at your job. Do you know what I'm saying? Because in Major League Baseball and professional sports, there's 100% people like, oh, you work with, oh, okay. Can I get like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what about like, people are interested in that information at that point. And that's what makes it so like that it has to be sacred and it has to be trapped in there, is because it's actually sought after information. Like these guys are important, famous people. And that like this information can be paid for and stuff like that. And if you sell your soul, you better be willing to there's the door. Sorry.
Yeah. Like if you're going to sell your soul, you better get the right price for it. Cause you're not going to allowed back at that water cooler.
Right. No. Cause you ain't getting another price for it.
And Tony, with you being in the music business and all that stuff, that's a small family for the time you're on the road. That's a small, close knit family. that protects everybody.
It's most of the tours that I was lucky enough to be on. You're looking at about 20 to 30 people.
Yeah.
That, tops.
Yeah.
Between the drivers and everybody else. You're looking at about 20 to 30 people that you're with, depending on the time. Could be a 6-week spot, could be, 6 months, 8 months, stuff like that. I did some longer stints as well, where I saw the same people day in and day out for 8 straight months.
Yeah. You saw them at their best and you saw them at their worst.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that's why it's like, I was fortunate enough in the environment that I came up in that I didn't judge somebody because they had tattoos or they were a felon. That was, my mom was a recovering drug addict. So I learned at a very young age, especially in the environment that I grew up in, that label of being a recovering addict or being a felon doesn't necessarily, or somebody that has face tattoos and spent 20 years in prison, those don't always mean what we're made to believe they mean. And so it's important to, it's important to get to know these individuals to where you see those masks that they put on come off.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to get that to happen is to just be human with them.
Yeah.
Because, you really want to be friends with Mike Trout. Don't walk up, oh my God, Mike Trout, I'm a big fan. No. Hey man, how's your day going? Just like you would anybody else that you're trying to get to know. You don't walk up to somebody and be, hey, I heard you're really good at your job. No.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? How's your family doing? You guys enjoying the city? What have you been to? What do you want to do? Maybe I can point you in the direction of something you're going to enjoy and have a good time. The more human you are to them, the easier it is for them to be human with you without feeling like they have to be guarded.
Because everybody else in their life is not like that. They're wanting what they see on the outside of Mike Trout. Like they want the baseball player Mike Trout, who they see on TV, to be whoever they want him to be in the weirdest, most narcissistic way possible. And if you're just not like that about it, then they're like, oh shit, this guy actually is a real person. That's how it starts.
And like,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One of my favorite interviews that I did was with Dave Stewart. It didn't start behind the batting cage. It didn't start in the clubhouse. It started just talking about his radio-controlled planes that he flies on the days that he pitches. When the game's over, he goes off to a park and decompresses by flying his radio-controlled planes. And because I showed interest in that with him, that led to an interview.
Wow.
It's just like, if two people that are end up in a situation where they're next to each other and they're just talking and they start talking about hobbies, that conversation is so light and relaxed and you're on a level playing field with the other person.
Yeah.
And it becomes a lot easier to just be comfortable. Yep. Because it's so much easier for us to be comfortable when we're at the same level. If I'm standing in a room full of professional baseball players, I'm the one that's uncomfortable because I'm not at that level of talent. But if I change what field I'm standing on, I can get onto their level. If I walk up to Trevor Story and I start talking with him about something that he's passionate about, whether it's NFTs or a charity that he has or whatever, I'm going to get Trevor Story.
He hates the Giants.
Hey, Trevor Story, let's talk about how much the Giants suck. Yeah.
Who doesn't hate? I'm just kidding.
So that's going to be kind of the closing thing for this tonight is, remember that if you really want to get the most out of an interaction with somebody who's famous and been in the limelight, stuff like that, whether they're currently at the top or after they're working their way up in that direction, the more human you are with them, the easier it is for them to be human with you. And they're going to be skeptical, especially some of these ones that have been burned.
Yep.
But
this is a great, how about we, to the listeners out there, those of you that have had experiences with meeting, quote, someone famous in the entertainment industry or music industry or a sports, player, sports player, geez Louise, English, a baseball player, a football player, feel free to share it on our site.
Yes, or send us a message. We'll talk about it in a future episode.
Yeah.
It's, and I'm sure, whether or not you can corroborate that. Tell me what happened, tell us what happened. Craig and I both actually monitor the Facebook page, so if you message us, we'll both probably be talking back and forth with you. But we'd love to hear your stories. Like it's a very interesting thing to discuss and learn about everybody's experience, and good or bad, Obviously not expecting anybody to violate any disclosure agreements or anything like that. Like don't get yourself in trouble. But, passing on the street, oh, hey, I was at a restaurant and ran into Patrick Mahomes. What was it like?
Yeah. I met Ndamukong Suh one time.
Oh, yeah?
Ndamukong Suh, awesome. He was wearing like a skinny shirt, like one of those like skinny shirts, and he had a six-pack. Guy weighed 315 pounds.
Skinny shirt?
Yeah. He had like a tight, like it was like a tight V-neck shirt on, right? And he's one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen in my life. I didn't know if it was I didn't know if it was a silverback gorilla. I didn't know if it was a silverback gorilla or a human being. And I shook his hand, and I literally just did I just said, hey, what's up, man? And like I literally did not realize who it was at first. I just knew he was a gigantic human being. And he shook my hand real quick, and his middle finger touched my wrist in the middle down here.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I was like, please don't kill me. All right, I'll see you later. I was like, you could kill me with your bare hands. And he was just like super nice. He was just like, hey man, what's up? I'm like,
there's discussions on trying to see if the Chiefs would grab him.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. I can't imagine even doing anything athletically on the same level as that guy, let alone trying to block him in an NFL game. Like trying to get in front of him when he wants to do anything is not going to happen for me. Like, I'm not going to like stop him from doing whatever he wants. Like whatever he wants to do, he could just do. Like he could just do it. Like there's nothing is going to stop him at that point. He's so huge. It was ridiculous. And that was when he's in Nebraska. He was 21 years old at that point. So,
he was still playing for Nebraska at that point.
That was 44 bench reps at 225 pounds in Ndamukong Suh. Wow. So we're talking one of the strongest human beings probably to ever walk planet Earth. Not a joke.
Yeah.
Like not a joke. Like that's an actual thing. Like he was one of the strongest dudes to ever like be around, and he still probably is. I mean, he gets paid to eat up blocks at this point. That's all he does. He just eats up blocks. He doesn't even sack the quarterback anymore. He just eats up two guys. Puts one hand on one of them, one hand on the other one. Guard in the center. He goes like this. That's what he gets paid millions of dollars to do it. It's fantastic. Huge. Great.
So before we wrap up tonight, Craig, any final thoughts, my man?
I think we covered a lot. We covered a lot tonight. Holy moly!
We did.
Good show.
Yeah, come back again.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Sorry, Stefan missed out. He was apparently having some technical issues.
Yeah, Wi-Fi issues at a hotel.
It's all good. It's all good.
But,
I'll meet another member of the Brotherhood at some point. We'll get acquainted. And he doesn't even like the Yankees. It's gonna be fantastic. He's gonna love me.
He speaks.
He's gonna love all my questions. He's gonna love all my questions.
He actually speaks very highly of the Yankees organization. He said even though he grew up a Red Sox fan, when he got to the Yankees organization, he drank the Kool-Aid. I watched those podcasts. Yeah, I know he likes him. I know he likes him, but he's just not. Yeah, it'll be. He's still a Red Sox fan, is what it is.
Oh, right, absolutely. Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it. Yeah, I totally. He has his favors. I understand. I'll bring him around. I'll bring him around. I'll bring him around. Right? No, I can tell. Yeah, absolutely.
Great, dude.
But I had a last thought, Tony.
Okay, yeah, I was going to continue next for your final thought.
1989, Dave Stewart. 1989, Dave Stewart, Oakland Athletics. I'm going to give you a line real quick, Craig.
Okay.
22 wins, 2.56 ERA, 1.15 WHIP. Finished second in the AL Cy Young race.
Wow, I didn't. Wow,
he finished to Roger Clemens, right?
Roger Clemens. That's what I was going to ask you. Who finished second? No. Sorry. Brett Saberhagen that year.
Oh,
Kansas City Royal. Saberhagen, 1989.
Yeah, that was the year Saberhagen. Yeah, okay. That
Mike Moore and Bert Blyleven finished 3-4. Nolan Ryan finished 5th.
Wow.
Mark Davis won the Cy Young for the Padres that year.
Yeah.
Mark Davis. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
Frank Robinson was manager of the year.
interesting.
Year I was born.
Well, and
Oh,
like
don't
I
say
said,
that. Now I feel really old. Come on, really? 89?
Yeah.
You just
God.
killed his day. You just
I didn't mean to
killed
kill
his day.
I was ducking an earthquake in the Bay Area. Holy moly!
And you were already writing in baseball at that point, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Yes. Those were Stewart's really good years. Was like 86 to like 90, right? Or 85 to. He was a stud.
Can you believe the Dodgers gave him away?
But yeah, basically.
Yeah.
What did they give him?
Kind of were just like, yeah. Here you go.
I don't remember who they gave him up for, but it's just like what a terrible move that was.
I think that all the time though with those deals, and because you don't know how those guys are going to pan out, a lot of those prospects and stuff, So I think about that all the time with those trade deadline deals. I'm like, those are some questionable guys. Like, how do you know what any of those guys is going to pan out? And it's like, for upper echelon guys who have proven things, and it's like I know it's all about money, but still. Go ahead.
Whitlock. So Whitlock, you talk about getting a player for nothing. The Red Sox got Whitlock from the Yankees on a Rule 5 draft pick.
Yeah. I knew that.
Could you imagine the Yankees bullpen having Garrett Whitlock right now?
Oh.
Could you imagine? Because that's really one of the things that the Yankees need to. That's really one of their biggest struggles right now, outside of trying to figure out how to teach Joey Gallo how to hit the ball again.
Joey Gallo homered tonight, by the way.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
But yeah, he cannot. Like I don't know what the hell's going on. Honestly, struck out 261 times. And Pete Rose.
I love Pete Rose. Did you see that one comment he made, Craig? They were talking about. It was Joey Gallo last year. They were talking about on a TBS baseball broadcast, and they said he had struck out 261 times. And Pete Rose goes, "If I struck out 261 times in the season, I'd just kill myself." I was like,
I would shoot myself in the head, like on live TV. I shoot myself in the head. I was like, "What is going on?"
That's Pete Rose.
No filter Rose.
And you interviewed him once, didn't you?
I interviewed him several times. Yeah.
That's.
He taught me the art of hitting just by watching this rookie no-name kid named Eric Davis that came up in '84 towards the end of the season, and he said watch this kid at Candlestick in the batting cage, watch him, and just watch how far back he sits in the box, watch it, and he says now just watch his wrists, just keep watching his wrists, look how quick they break, it's just it was just a great lesson on the art of hitting with a rookie named Eric Davis, who went on to have a pretty good career.
Because that was like Rose's thing, was his hands.
Yes.
Mostly, I mean, his hands and his wrists were just like, they was so good. I mean, that's that kind of a hallmark of a lot of great hitters, though, is like they throw their hands at the ball, and it's like they're just so like it's almost like they're touching it. They're not even hitting with the bat, they're touching it, and it's like it's craziness.
Any pure hitter is like that. Yeah, any pure hitter, that's what you're going to see. Like Rafi Devers, if you watch him, he has that. That's the way it is for him too. It's just that movement is just so quick and swift. It doesn't look like he's doing much. And like they were talking about it on the Red Sox podcast today, that when you see Rafi start to get into a slump, it's because he's muscling up more instead of just being fluid with what he's doing, regardless of the heat that the pitcher's bringing.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting factoid on that. It was just like, and that makes sense. It does.
Rose always came strong with an interview with me. Always came strong. He never half-assed it. I always will appreciate that with him.
I have like a theory that Rose is just like a Midwestern like redneck dude who just like he just drinks a couple of beers and just starts throwing out like crazy stories about how he can hit a baseball over a mountain and stuff. I'm pretty close, aren't I? I feel like I am. I feel like I'm pretty close. You don't have to say it. I'm just kidding. I'm pretty close. I know I'm pretty close.
He's just a character. He's just a real. He loves baseball. I mean, he loves it.
Right.
And man, he had so many opportunities to. How much time we got left? I don't want to run us over too far.
I mean, we're at an hour and a half right now. At this point, we're already so far over, it doesn't matter.
Great
All right,
podcasting,
well-
it doesn't matter. We can do 4 hours. It's just-
Rose, two men that I really admire in baseball that was A. Bartlett Giamatti and Faye Vincent. And Faye Vincent worked really hard trying to get Rose. Look, if you just come clean, we can remove the lifetime ban. It'll be a set, so many years ban, but in your lifetime you will see yourself going in the Hall of Fame. But Rose, his ego, no humility. He made fun of the Hall of Fame. He set up an autograph station across the street from the Hall of Fame.
outside. I remember that. Yeah.
And he denigrated, the commissioner's office, and just, he was given every opportunity
Right.
to make right with this, and the fans would have forgiven him, but it's too late now. He will go in the Hall of Fame, but he will go in the Hall posthumously. He will not see it in his lifetime.
So you could almost say that, like, it wasn't just that he did what he did; it was that he thumbed his nose at the system afterwards.
Exactly.
Like, in lieu of, yeah.
In
That's
lieu
kind
of-
of what I thought too. Is like he took it too far with them. It's almost he was rubbing dirt on the wound the whole time. Like,
Exactly.
you can't show people up. Like, you can't show those dudes up. Those guys run freaking America. Some of those guys run freaking America. You can't show them, let alone the Hall of Fame. Those guys run the freaking country.
There is, and that's the thing, and I think that's ultimately, because I am an advocate that Pete Rose should be able to be in the Hall of Fame as a hitter.
As a player, 100%.
As a player, I get the no
accurate
coaching thing because of what he did. I'm not taking away from that at all.
Yeah.
But I also think that his knowledge of the game is useful enough that it shouldn't be taboo to use him in a broadcasting sense.
Yeah.
On a national level, ESPN, TBS, the Apple TV and Peacock games.
Well,
national level.
The younger players, oh my God, what a boon of knowledge he could pass on to today's baseball generation and the future generations. That's just wasted. It's really a shame.
It really is.
About what he just taught you in that little session. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just taught you, like, just real quick, just show, like, just a little snippet of what it takes. And like, you were moved by it. Like, because he probably has a vast amount of information about, like, obviously the guy for all intents and purposes wasn't that great of an athlete, for one. Let's be honest. Wasn't even that great. Like, he just, I don't mean that in like, he wasn't that great of an athlete. I mean, like, he just athletically, as far as like jumping, running, that wasn't his thing. He was just knowledge wise. It was like his hands were there. He was all over it mentally. Like, that's a coach, and if I've ever seen one, or or a Hall of Famer.
He was able to think two plays, two pitches ahead, whether he's playing the field or at the plate. He's already 2 pitches ahead of the pitcher.
So it's almost like he's doing it. It's almost like when he's in the play, he's already on the next. Like he's exactly. I'm already on this. Let's figure out what's going on after this, and that's literally what separates greats.
Exactly. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hockey assist.
It's a shame.
It is. Yep. I agree. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I apologize if Stefan didn't make it tonight. He has been having technical issues, would not have the best connection with the Wi-Fi in the hotels that he's at. Hopefully he will be back next week, and we will have Dan as a guest again. Again, a big thank you to gunslingersoap.com for the sponsorship. Remember, you can go to their website, gunslingersoap.com, sign up and get 15% off your first purchase and free shipping over $30. I recommend the Gunslinger Soap and my favorite, my new beard oil, the Maverick.
Yes.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks, guys. It's good to be on a real podcast.
See you, Dan.
First time real. Hey, see you, buddy. Thanks, man.
Bye.